Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to talk today about how to use these properties we were talking about yesterday. We're going to learn how to simplify algebraic expressions using some of the properties we talked about. Take a look at these three examples, write them down. It's going to be a pretty short video, then I'll give you a few to practice. So here we have 3 plus e plus 7, and we're not being told what e is. So we cannot evaluate, we cannot come up with an answer. We are just going to simplify, which means we're going to put together what we can. So what we have here is, we've got parentheses around the 3 and the e, but it's addition. And this is addition also. And the commutative property says that I can move numbers around when I'm adding and get the same answer. So just because it's telling me to add 3 plus e first, and then add 7, that doesn't mean I'm going to get a different answer if I move the 3 around. So if I move the 3 and the 7 and group them together, and then add on the e, I can actually add the 3 and the 7. Those are like terms. Those are regular constant numbers. 3 plus 7 is 10. I don't know what e is, so I just have to leave it at that. So I simplified this expression knowing that the commutative property says that I could move the numbers around. Right? So 3 plus e plus 7, I can ignore the parentheses because it's all addition and put the 3 and 7 together. Same thing for multiplication. Even though it's got parentheses around the x here and the 5, I know that multiplication, the commutative property works and the associative property works. I can group these numbers differently. I can move the numbers around and I'll get the same answer. So if I switch the 5 and the x and just write 8 times 5 times x, I can simplify this a little bit. 8 times 5 is 40. I don't know what x is, so I can leave that like that. Or, even better, I know that in algebra I can just put the number in front of the variable, and that means multiplication. So to simplify something like this, if it's all multiplication, I can multiply the numbers of the like term, put the variable behind it. One more example. In this one, I'm going to use the associative property. I don't need to move the numbers here at all. I moved the 7 around here. I moved the 5 around here. In this one, I don't really need to move anything. I just am going to move the grouping symbols. I don't need to move the numbers. So I'm going to use the associative property. This is telling me to do 7 times 8 times d. But I know that whether I multiply 7 times 8 times d or d times 8 times 7, I'm going to get the same answer. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 7 and the 8 next to each other and maybe parentheses around that and put the d over here. So I'm using the associative property. I can now do 7 times 8 to get 56. I still don't know what d is, so I'm just going to leave that there. 56d. I simplified the expression. So when you simplify these expressions, you do not have to show all the work and all these things that I just did. You can simply write the simplified expression if they're that easy. But I hope you understand the thought process, the reason that I was able to do that. I was simply thinking of the commutative and associative properties and the fact that I'll get the same answer if I move numbers or grouping symbols around. All right, I want you to try a couple and then we'll practice some more tomorrow. Try these 4. Pause the video, unpause when you're finished, and we'll check over your work. Okay, hopefully you saw I don't need to do things in this order. That's just the associative property tells me I can move these grouping symbols, put them here. 12 times 10 is 120, and then I multiply by z. So 120z is that simplified expression. Hopefully you saw here that you can switch the 18 and the p. Okay, you didn't have to write this out, but hopefully you got the final answer by adding 18 and 10 together and putting plus p, 28 plus p. Now, make sure if it's multiplication, you put the number sitting in front of the variable. If it's addition, you still got to have that addition sign. Right? This one, again, I can move the numbers around. If I just switch the x and the 15, 12 and 15 together, because those are like terms, they're regular constant numbers, and that could be 27 plus x. How you do so far? Hopefully you got those three right. This one's a tiny bit harder. I'm going to move the grouping symbols and put the 5. I'm sorry. I have to move the grouping symbols here. Put the 5 and the 56 together. 5 times 56, and then multiply by r. Just going to write that out. 56 times 5. Hopefully you already did this. And you should have got 280. So then I can put 280 r, just like that. And those expressions are now simplified. Pretty simple. Hopefully you understand the reason we were able to simplify these, move the letters and grouping symbols around. See you tomorrow. We'll practice some more with simplifying expressions then.